Broadcasting from Berlin, Germany, Solutions Review is on location at MobileIron Live 2019. Brought to you by MobileIron.
We are here on day 2 of MobileIron Live 2019 in Berlin, and I'm Doug Atkinson from Solutions Review, pleased to be joined by Thierry Bonhomme, former CEO of Orange Business Services, and now an advisor, senior advisor to MobileIron.
That's right.
And I'm glad you're here because it really...
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's a pleasure because what you're involved with, and I think what has been so interesting for us being here the last couple of days, is really the strategic thinking around how mobility is changing and fitting into the larger business transformation, the digital transformation that's happening within large enterprises.
Yeah, but probably, if I may, it's not only about mobility. What we are speaking about, it's about digital transformation. And here, I am speaking about the technologies. And among the technologies, of course, you have 4G, 5G, all things related to mobile connectivity, IoT, that kind of stuff. But it's as well embark cloud, private or public, analytics, big data, cobots, robots, things which are helping companies to automatize. And what we have been seeing within Orange is a huge investment from our customers within those technologies. Why? Because they need to improve their internal processes. So it's about internal efficiency, one side, and it's as well about customer and employee experience. Those technologies, they are improving the experience of the users, and it helps the businesses not to be disrupted by the newcomers. And having this investment within the technologies through the interaction with their own customers allows them to co-innovate and transform their business. So digital transformation, again, which is embarking mobility and which is making mobile devices so important. Good news for MobileIron, by the way. It's wider and larger than that. And that's interesting because it's as well an opportunity for MobileIron, I think, because what we have been facing, while it's increasing efficiency, customer experience, etc., it's as well because it's about scale, it's about a lot of connectivity, it's about services, openness. It's bringing a lot of new dangers, and danger means risks. Danger doesn't always mean risk, and that's where we need the expertise, CISOs, partners, products for mitigating different dangers and reducing the risk. And that's where you have a twofold opportunity for MobileIron, again, through the digital transformation. Mobile first, this is growing, this is very important, and cybersecurity threats, where the customer, they need partners for prioritizing, developing tools, preventing, remediating if something happens on the infrastructure.
Well, and I think it's a cultural change as well on several levels. We not only is it the enterprise that needs to be responsive to the changes that are happening, but we're actually seeing human behavior change because the device is now so powerful and so ubiquitous that you are using it in a way that has never been used before because it has so much power.
You are absolutely right. So the devices we have today, they are like a data center or probably more powerful than the data centers we had 20 years ago and which were occupying a full room within your premises. Huh? So that's the story.
That's why they're so vulnerable as well, because they're so valuable.
Yes, and they are vulnerable because they are not only a device, they are a part of the network. They are at the edge of the network, and you will see with 5G, that's why 5G is so important.
I wanted to get to 5G.
That the devices could provide edge computing, including the way the network functionalities run within the 5G network. They transport data, they store data, you have applications on the device or downloaded from the cloud. So it's by far more than a device.
Well, and they're
it's
no
a part
longer
of it's a part of the
connecting to
ecosystem.
network. They're connecting to one another effectively outside of the network.
Absolutely. And what's at stake here, because you mentioned the device, but what at stake is, I think, in terms of organization,
Sure.
is more the representation we have of what is a company, what is an organization. In the old days, in the analog old days,
Yes.
I could say that when it comes to cybersecurity, a company was like a medieval castle. Big walls, give me your password at the main door, you enter and you do whatever you want within the castle. Today, because of what you said about the devices, which are more than only a device, it's like an airport, and even more than, it's a digital airport. So you have restricted areas, you have very, very secret places, highly protected places, a control tower. You have public areas as well within these companies. Look at the way data from the partners, from the customers, from the suppliers are shared within a company today. That's exactly what's happening within an airport. And the challenge, I think, for the companies, for the organization, is being able to get rid of the old dogma, medieval castle, perimetric protection. I am comfortable with my perimetric protection. Get rid of that and think about something which is by far more complex, because it requires priorities, it requires taking into account the customer behavior, and the customer is a multi-form. It's a partner, supplier, competitor, legal advisor, service provider. And it's so complex that you need to prioritize, to organize something. It's not only about protecting one day, it's about continuous improvement, taking into account the way the business is run within the company.
So I'm curious, you've obviously played at the highest level, multi-billion euro company. You're now advising an up-and-coming company that has an amazing opportunity in a business market that is rapidly changing. What kind of advice are you providing to MobileIron with regard? What do you think the opportunity is?
I think that what we shared about the digital transfer again is a very good opportunity for MobileIron. And I think that what they said, what Simon and Brian presented yesterday about the zero trust one side, zero password the other one, are really addressing. These are very powerful mottos, and I think they are addressing very, very interesting challenges the organization they have. When you say zero password, it's not about getting rid of the password, but you are addressing the topic of the comfort of the end user. How can you help the end user within his or her day-to-day life? How can you help those guys to download the applications, to follow the security rules very comfortably? How is it easy to do business with the security tools you are providing to the customers? And I think that the zero password is really contributing to this experience, improvement of the customer experience. First, zero trust is, for me, absolutely strategic, because in this very open world, the zero risk doesn't exist. It's like when you take a plane. It's highly safe, yes, but it could happen. And what means zero trust for me is a clear message sent by MobileIron saying to the CXOs of this world that things will happen. Things will happen. We are there for helping you, whatever, whenever, etc. And that's very important. Of course, it's a very, very challenging position, because managing the customer experience and managing the security requires a lot of investments, a lot of continuity in the way you will listen to the customers and you will accompany the customers.
So where do you think we are at the enterprise level with regard to that cultural shift of thinking about the perimeter differently, thinking about security differently, this idea of zero trust? I mean, the messaging that we're hearing is that there really needs to be a quantum shift in thinking around security. So, I mean, where do you see kind of the adoption curve at that point with regard to a cultural shift? Do you think people are going to be able to leap toward that zero trust easily? Do you think it's going to be hard?
No. There is nothing which will be easy in the future. There is a part of what you are addressing, which is about the cybersecurity culture. It's exactly the same way. In the 19th century, we investigated the healthcare policy, explaining to the citizens that it could be safer to wash your hands, right. If you remember that. That's exactly the same story.
It's a cultural change.
It's a cultural change, and you need to explain, you need to train, you need to inform. It will not happen without interesting the citizens of this world, the employees, the partners, to what is at stake. Okay, one point. The second point, I think, is as you can't fix everything in only one day. It's not like in the Bible. It will not happen within 7 days. You need to continuously improve, and you need to prioritize. And when it comes to prioritization, it doesn't mean physical assets prioritization. It means data prioritization, and that's a very critical aspect of the changes the big organization they have. Understanding how data generated within the company by the customers, by the employees, by the partners, by the processes, industrial processes, and the businesses are linked together, and how I should prioritize my protection policy, my security policy, my cyber tools according to what I consider as the most shared asset I have within the company. And things will happen, meaning that it could be the blackout. Look at what happened to a maritime company 2 years ago with WannaCry, or that's what happened. So the question is really not a question for, as a CISO, protecting my job if something happens. It's really a question for protecting the life of the company if something could happen. And you need to explain to the CEOs, to the decision makers within the company, that you are a business partner as a CISO, as a CIO, which is a change. You were more an investor or an infrastructure manager before. You are now a business partner, and you are contributing to the decision makers in a way that they could understand the ROI, return on investment, which is not about money only, but as well on competencies they need to invest for managing all what is at stake. So data prioritization, ROI, cyber awareness are probably the three key elements which represent a big change in the way CISOs, CXOs are contributing as business partner within the companies today.
Well, and with regard to that larger CISO role within an organization, do you see that changing as well in terms of the opportunity for large enterprises with all of this data now and being able to deliver more for their customers? I mean, do you see the balance now for a CISO to be even more involved at that executive level?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, definitely. Yes, and by the way, not only for the internal needs of the company, but if you are partnering with a big customer, they have these customers, they have their own CISO. You can be, as a CISO of the provider, the what's used as an entry point for making the demonstration to your future customer that you have all what they need for being absolutely safe when they will work with you. So you could be really a part of the selling process, of the business development of your own company, of course. And as it's about the data collection, data sharing within the company and outside with the customers, yes, I think many opportunities if you make sure that the data journey is safe with the tools you have. Yes, I think you can develop more businesses, which doesn't mean more revenues immediately, but which means probably more confidence through the metrics you provide with the with your customers. And confidence within the B2B business, it counts very much, because when there is confidence, when there is trust, there is renewal.
Well, I'm curious about one last question, and I'm curious about that opportunity and the real transformation that's happening. I mean, are we going to be able to balance this? I mean, is our businesses going to be able to deal with everything that's going to be available to them in terms of data capacity, throughput with 5G, and security? I mean, how is it all going to come together?
I
don't think people realize how much of a change is going to happen.
Well, it's a big change, absolutely right. I do agree. It's very specific, business per business. It probably not be the same in the future. If you are a construction material provider, or if you are a transport service provider, or if you are a healthcare service provider, the context are very specific. The way you will prioritize the data related to your core business are very specific. So the way you will prioritize your investment will be very specific. And as always, it's a question of what can you allow to spend regarding what is at stake. And the answer is let's check. It could be anything within, but should be very, very clearly according to what I can.
Well,
so
it's going to need to be this balance between everything I think I can do with all of this data that I'm going to have.
But it's impossible.
Balanced with what
you have thousands of tools for designing a cyber policy, for operating a cyber SOC, for developing the remediation in case, for measuring. You have thousands of. Good news for MobileIron again, because it's
no
growing.
Doubt about it. It's great
growing,
news for
It's growing, but you have many competitors, and you have to choose. So it's a part of the business selling process for MobileIron to be able to explain, contribute to this prioritization of the tools in front of the prioritization of the data within the companies.
I could keep going, but I'm going to let you go. I know they're asking folks to join them at the main stage here. Thank you very much for coming by, Thierry. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. You've certainly been involved in this for some time, and now you're still in the thick of it at one of the most interesting times of all during this digital transformation. So well done, and we appreciate the time.
And thank you again for welcoming me here.
Thanks.